Catholicism's the best.
Number one, though?
Obviously. Who else is in contention here?
Muslims? Jews?
Solid claim.
You think Catholic's number one?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, why?
We did it, dude. Look at the Vatican. We did it.
Yeah.
Invented the Western
You hate
world.
Invented the Western
That's
world.
number one. Number one.
Catholicism, number one.
I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber.
Latin Mass by day, TradTards podcast by night, all day.
Are you homosexual, your eminence? Those Novus Ordo priests, they do communion in the hand. You can't do that. It's disgusting.
So long as we bear innocently that divine image in the face of the evil of the world, we shall never perish. Why, we have already won!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Puffs with Peter episode. I'm joined by my esteemed guest, CheeseHead, a nom de guerre we made up just about a minute, 30 seconds ago. I hope all the loyal Peter Puffers are watching tonight. A lot has happened in American politics that obviously Catholicism needs to address. TradTards mini-sode, that's the plan for this evening. But I am joined here by my very good friend, CheeseHead, as he will be known. I don't know if you wanted to say a few words.
Yeah, no, I really don't have too much. Happy to be here. This is my first podcast appearance. It's I hear I'm in esteemed company, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I felt like there definitely needed to be something, because this fucking weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was like you were on the ball with it. I was blown away. Genuinely, that is the fastest news delivery I've ever gotten in my life. I
have my sources.
Yeah, and I will say there was 10%. I'm like, this is bullshit. There's no possible way this.
Like Anthony is fucking with me real hard today.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the they did an AI construction of the trajectory of the bullet.
Yeah,
and then it literally
him just looking over, and he said he was looking at this immigration infographic that he had up on the Jumbotron, and him just looking over at it, and then that's when the guy decided to shoot.
People do joke about he's has some kind of religious protection and aura about it, but it's
that's all we want to talk about here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For the Tard community, I am a lapsed Catholic. You can. I'll wear the hair shirt or whatever when I decide to go back. Yep. But
he's said mea culpa many a time. He's saying the Confiteor in Latin. He's coming back, folks. He's coming back.
I was confirmed. I did all that stuff. And I will say, genuinely, your depth of knowledge of Catholicism, it's why it is the best religion, because it it's the smartest religion.
And Shane Gillis says so.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the cornerstone of actually Catholic theology. Saint Shane Gillis and Thomas Aquinas. Yeah. That's really where it all is. But it was. Yeah, because you were the first person I told.
Dude, check the news. It doesn't matter what channel.
Once I found out, I was coming back from the gym, and me and CheeseHead were actually just hanging out this weekend. And I had gotten back from the gym, and I had to go take a shower, but I pulled into my apartment's parking space. And all of a sudden, my group chats start blowing up, and someone's like, Trump's been shot. And I'm like, yeah, fucking totally. And I expected to see a really bad AI video.
Yeah.
Or just some obvious meme. And then it's a very real video. And you see the crowd react. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And I see Trump go down and then him get up. So I'm like, so he's not immediately dead. Because I have no clue if he got fucking hit in the body or something.
No, when you first see the video, it is jarring, because he does just immediately go down, and I wasn't immediately apparent he could have been hit by a different round or so. So I think the instant aftermath, I was like, oh shit, this might be something for real. But no, it has been interesting looking at just all the lapses in security, and I tend to default towards I don't think there's like some big conspiracy angle to that. I think it's just general like
incompetence,
like, and just
it's worse in a way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
it would be nice to believe that, because like a conspiracy would suggest that there are like adults in the room and like more competent people, but no, I think it is just like general institutional malaise and decline.
The competency crisis has come for assassination.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, everyone makes fun of the apparent lack of accuracy the shooter had. I mean, but he hit his ear. I mean, like, this is inches.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, if
under stress too, like that. Yeah,
if the story is true, where this guy. So here's the thing, right? It's like, okay, so either he's like a retarded kid who can't hit anything, which apparently is not the case. I mean, granted, look, it's not a hard shot. I'm a big gun guy. I know you like shooting too.
Yeah.
So, 100, like under 150 yards with an AR prone is a very doable shot.
Yeah.
And wind is negligible. I know some people are like, this kind of gets into the schizo posting about Trump is under protection of God. Yeah. Oh, God bless. God bless. Amen. Like, no, like the wind was negligible. Even at 10 miles, it's not enough at that range. It's an AR 5.56, very flat trajectory.
I would agree with you. I see. What I wonder is like, because I feel like any normal person, your adrenaline would be so spiked that it would like throw. Because that is like the most stressful situation you can imagine. So
you're pretty much gonna fucking die.
Well, exactly. So, but did like the autism buff like prevent him from like feeling that, and that's why he was able to get so close to it? I don't know, but I do like. There's a lot of interesting counterfactuals that you can go into of like, okay, what if X, Y, or Z happened? Here's where I'm interested, because I generally, I'm pretty grill-pilled, like politically. I think you're aware.
I mean, being grill-pilled, I think everyone should be functionally grill-pilled.
Yeah.
Like that is like, not having to worry about politics is the best political view.
Like, yeah, I don't get too mad about stuff, and my broader social circle is pretty like lefty. I am like the annoying right wing person in my group, and that's
like the AfD in Germany.
Yeah,
where they're
literally yeah.
Where they're just like, these are literally Nazis. It's like, no, I just maybe don't want as much immigration this year.
Yeah, no, I was explaining the AfD to my friends the other week, and I voted for. You'll enjoy this. The American Solidarity Party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, this got way interesting.
Yeah. That was my 2020 vote.
Wow. So were they on? They're on the ballot where you live?
Yeah, it was. I'm honestly, I can't remember the name of the guy. But no, I like their platform for the most part.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting because they have their own like caucuses within the party. And I didn't think we were going to talk about American Solidarity Party, but here we are. And yeah, they definitely, Catholic social teaching is a big part of most of their, and we are actually puffing on our Peters here.
Yeah,
we're smoking some cigars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
CheeseHead does not have as much experience, but he's getting there. He's getting there over the many cigars we've had. So so American Solidarity, they're pretty good. Some of their policies are a little like, they're not as pro-gun. Some of them are like open border type.
Yeah. So here's my two justifications for that. Gun policy in America is set and never changing. Like that's not like, there was like a sort of delusion on the left that like abortion was untouchable, and they just didn't realize the social forces that were like amassing against that position. Guns are so integral to like the American experience and culture, and just like they are built into the bedrock of it's just. It hasn't been around since 1960. It's been around since, fucking
1776. We'll commence again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, no, it goes back to like the 1608. Like, So we're a frontier country. Exactly. Yeah. So I just view that as like basically a moot point where there'd never actually be any movement on that.
And it does seem, at least when I read their policy positions, which are all online because. Let's be real, no one besides maybe ourselves and like 20 other people in this country know about the American Solidarity Party.
That is true.
And it seems to be
like... They're
all
listening right now.
Yeah, they're all listening. They're all... Yeah, we're the only ones, people. If you're listening to this, you know. Yeah. Welcome to the club. Yeah. But it seems to be that they want to have that big brain, like, well, actually, guns aren't like an integral part of Catholic social teaching. Like, a state doesn't need to have guns to allow the citizens to own guns to be moral. Like, sort of like high horse, like okay, come to the fucking real world, Junior.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. I would love to see more smaller parties and maybe like an actual Catholic party. Although we have Catholic politicians, which actually kind of is a perfect segue into the big thing we want to talk about. We obviously had to address the shot elephant in the room, which was Trump. Yeah. It was just crazy to be around for that. Like, yeah, you were literally the first person I called because I had to tell you, like, hey, I'm still down to hang, but turn on every channel, doesn't matter which. They just fucking shot our boy.
Yeah, no, that was genuinely nuts, and I did. It was a nice feeling to like be able to like tell everybody ahead of like.
And they're like, how'd you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Q told
like,
me.
Yeah,
Q sent me.
Q did send me. Yeah. No, that was an interesting day. But no, I am curious. Like, do you think? Because his politics seem pretty opaque, like the shooters, and I do think ultimately for him, probably like
We'll never know.
We'll never know. The readings, I think there's the school of thought that's like, okay, he was, and I think all of these are like wrong in one way or another, or like an incomplete picture, but there's like, okay, he donated to Act Blue, and like he obviously, just basic fact, he shot at like the Republican nominee who, the left has been saying is like
wait, he shot at literally the Weltgeist. He shot at the World Spirit.
Yeah.
That's something you can't do. He found out the hard. I'm sorry. This happened on the last episode. I just kept evolving into Tradcath, or I guess in this pain. Well, if we're talking about the Weltgeist, we're fucking Hegel-pilled Trump. So, I have schizophrenia with the Trump voice at this point. So.
No, I see. If you weren't so good at the delivery, it's such a good Trump impression. It's just I love hearing. I can't get enough of it.
You see, some people like I've done it before at like parties, and everyone gets quiet, and I'm like, well, the spaghetti's out of the pockets now. I'm gonna have to make my lead before people start asking why the hell he's here. Sort of thing. So I'm happy to hear someone likes it.
No, it cracks me up every time.
But yeah, I mean, to me, and I guess this will be the last word about the whole thing, because there's a million fucking videos about the Trump shooting. But gosh, man, we're living through historic times, right? Like, I guess it's good to talk about historic things.
Yeah.
This kid. I mean, when I see him, I frankly just see like some of the kids I used to hang out with, like in high school. Like, very obviously, you take one look at him and like, all right, this kid's like playing a fuckload of video games.
Yep. Kind of a nerdy kid.
Yeah, nerdy
I
dude.
haven't seen. I know a video came out like with him talking or whatever.
And he's just like making like very. It's like that's actually his style of humor in that video is like it's relative of a kid his age. He actually didn't seem like that much of a weirdo.
No, and it's like I've met that archetype of dude like a million times over, and no, so I think like some people
really because maybe and I people are like of course they're shitting all over the shooter and I mean the big thing is people are really trying to move away from any culture of intrigue or glory about like it, not like intentional glory, but we give people infamy for doing horrible things, and people are trying to move away from that by like just leaning really hard and like, oh, what a freaking loser, like retard. But like frankly, it is sad because the kid's like what 20, right? And like what the fuck was going like. You think that we would hear something from the parents by now, but frankly, it sounds like this kid didn't really have anything going for him. Yeah, he like did okay in school, like he didn't do anything horrible that we know of, like in high school. He apparently graduated.
Except for that one thing.
Yeah, well, apparently he was just kind of like a shut-in, and like frankly, that's like so many young men these days. And what was going through his head? Was it something overtly political? Was it just like, well, this is my chance of doing something like at least I'll be in the history books. Yeah,
and I do think at like that age, like you're more. And again, I'm not like speaking from like a position of like superiority or anything, but like you do tend to be like more animated and passionate about that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I definitely like some mental health thing. It was just too on the nose that he was in like the Black Rock video. That was like,
what the fuck is going on in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Real question.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania people, if any of you are listening, you got some shit to answer for. You got Biden growing up there. You got the Amish people. They're kind of cool, but you still got to answer for that. You got Hershey Park. You got attempted assassinations, apparently.
Yeah, shit is crazy.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. No, I've never been. I mean, I've driven through Pennsylvania. Actually,
But I said Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Well, Philadelphia is part of that whole
Well,
Philly.
yeah.
It's a part of the. Well, yeah, Philly is part of the Pennsylvania mystique.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously glad like it wasn't a successful attempt, but no, I think it's so stupid and like trite to say, but it is like symptomatic of like larger cultural illnesses.
Yeah,
for sure.
So speaking of interesting young men, JD Vance, who is the big part of this mini-sode, because he is a Catholic, a convert to Catholicism, most interestingly.
Not real, made up, but yeah.
Yeah, so he is. I'm not doubting that. That's a big deal, especially for him, who kind of his whole backstory. And I think maybe maybe the title of this mini-sode should be "Who the fuck is JD Vance?"
Yeah,
because I think that's what a lot of people are asking. I knew of him compared to Pence, which was obviously Trump's first running mate and VP. I didn't know fucking shit all. About Pence. He looked like if you asked an AI image generator to make a generic American president, and Pence would pop up, and you'd be like, "Wow, this AI generator is shit," because that is like too boring, like too generic. No, then he's like a real guy.
No.
Meanwhile, Vance is like. There's a picture of Vance, which I'll put on screen here, without his beard, and I sent this to you.
Yeah.
I am 100% convinced the success of JD Vance rests entirely on the fact if he shaves his beard off or not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He reminds me a lot of like a lot of Marines.
He's a devil dog.
That's definitely like a Marine archetype of like the nerdy fat kid who goes because like I'll be a Marine and that will change my life and then I'll like be a different kind of guy. Which I am very curious about his like military record. He doesn't really dive into that,
and there's a reason why.
I'm sure he was like the pogiest of pogues, but
so he did go to Iraq, but he was you see, comparing it to this makes him seem way cooler because he definitely was not this cool. But you've seen Full Metal Jacket, right?
Yeah.
You know, Private Joker.
Yeah.
He's a war correspondent. So what would now be like a public affairs official.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what Vance was.
Okay.
I wanted to meet interesting and stimulating people of an ancient culture and kill them. I wanted to be the first kid on my block to get a confirmed kill.
Which it makes sense. He is big into writing. Obviously, he wrote Hillbilly Elegy, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is his big claim to fame. He's the poet laureate of the lumpen proles of the Appalachians. I guess that's what it makes them known.
This is where so he claims.
And that's where I know this book is controversial.
Yes.
Because one point it's like people are like, oh man, he's really going deep into his upbringing and his rough childhood. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like liberals love to eat up the memoir of like abused people.
The libs do love it, and I've got enough holdover, so I have to like interrogate these beliefs of mine, and I think like, you know, from my more lefty phases, but I do think these are still valid critiques of the guy. Grew up in Ohio, like occasionally sort of went to hill country.
So
like
every so folks often. Are they from like Kentucky or?
Yeah,
he's not from like deep South Appalachia.
No,
it's like,
not at all.
Yeah.
And we'd spend like summers with his like, you know, podunk relatives or whatever. And I do like the guy's story is genuinely. So I don't want to downplay. Like, that aspect.
They got a movie deal.
Yeah, he got a movie deal.
Credit.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, it like. You know, is corny or lame as it like is like an American thing. He rises from like, you know, he did grow up pretty poor and like drug addict mom or whatever.
I mean, I guess it proves white people can be poor.
Yeah.
Which is it's just something I think people need to be reminded
We'll
of.
need to explore this more. I'm not sure that can happen, but I don't
know if Yakubians can be poor.
Yeah.
This is something that science has yet to prove.
Yeah.
Hillbilly elegy is one of many very, very concerning pieces of evidence that have come out in recent years that white people might actually have bad days.
Yeah. Troubling stuff.
Yeah. But he was a public affairs official. Well, not an officer. He got out as a corporal, so he just did like one term of enlistment. But he apparently went to Iraq. I don't think he got like any combat badges or anything.
Yeah.
But I love seeing the overtly shared, like probably like, fucking 2 weeks into basic, Marine Corps boot camp, him in the dress blues. Whatever. I don't know when they do that.
See, my problem with him is I view him as the like exact inverse, because it represents like what I hate most from both parties. But he's the mirror image to me of like Pete Buttigieg, who's like checking every box on his craven ascent to power because he knows like, well, if I do this and this and this and then this and then like in the most like Terminator inhuman way,
soulless.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that's interesting about Vance is I feel like converting to Catholicism actually might be the one principled thing.
I can buy that. That to me feels like in American politics, it really doesn't get you anything. So that's why it's plausible to me that that's like a genuine like feeling. So I can absolutely buy that.
Yeah, and also too, and he's well known being like a Southern evangelical type growing up,
right? And
I know like just for a fact, like that's going to cause some social capital loss, or at the very least a lot of awkward conversations. Yeah. Because man, I tell you what, like I know people that converted from Protestantism to Catholicism, and they can have a very rough time during that transition, and it's like a big deal. And it really, I mean, because think about it, like why would you go through the effort of doing that when there's frankly no real benefit? At least, I mean, it might not make things worse, but it's really not going to give you much strength after.
Yeah.
Right. Like from a political standpoint, like just you being a Catholic, like not many people are really just going to vote for you on that alone.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely like, I mean, my understanding of like Appalachia generally, like it's not evangelical in the way that like a lot of the South is, and it's also not like a particularly religious, but again, this is speaking in like broad terms, this is my understanding, but
a good portion of Appalachia is in the Bible Belt. I mean it's not very organized religion, and Vance talks about this in that one essay he wrote. It's like joining the resistance, I think is what he called it. It was in like Lamp magazine or something like that.
I know the Lamp.
I read a decent portion of it today. I didn't read the whole thing, unfortunately. Didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
But he talks about like it's very, and this is I've pretty much lived in occupied territory my whole life as a Catholic, living in the South, which I mentioned in the last episode with Puck. And I mean that is mainly one of their big things is Protestants love this idea that it's this like decentralized thing, and it ties into the American ideal of, well, we don't want a king and a pope is just a king. I mean, that's like how it boils down to, right? It's a very easy way of looking at it.
Side note, I'm just imagining you in Virginia. It's like that silence novel, Shusaku Endo, where like you and the other Catholics every weekend they just crucify you.
They put us on stakes in the Chesapeake Bay, and they let the blue crabs snap our balls. And we just gotta do that every weekend. And it's we just gotta check in at the. It's like, hey, it's 4 p.m.
4 p.m. It's time for your blue crab balls.
Hey, Papist, it's 4 p.m. Time for the blue crabs to snap your balls off again. Oh, boy, yippee. Thank you, Pastor Jim Bob from First Baptist Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's not that bad, but it's more like people won't like talk about religion, and then when you mention you're Catholic, then it's all of a sudden all the fucking stops get put up, and you're like, why the fuck do you care?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm very familiar with that sort of like social.
It's like they have all these different million denominations, and you're like, oh, I'm Catholic, and then it's like, well, that's the one unifying factor Protestants have is they're not that.
Yeah.
So then they're like, what the fuck?
Yep. No, I definitely have seen that, especially like growing up in like Mormon country. Like,
Yeah, that's going to be a future episode topic. We did a recent poll on the Telegram, and Mormonism won, which I was hoping would not happen.
Yeah.
Because Mormonism has been beat to death.
Yeah.
And we all know Joseph Smith was kind of a kooky guy. Yeah. But people really just want that Mormon hate. So I guess we're going to make an episode.
Yeah,
so,
no, I understand the interest. Yeah.
But yeah, Vance. Yeah, he's like a little on the chubby side. Right?
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. Like when you get like, because that I feel definitely is like a negative to him, like politically. Because like, Pete Buttigieg is in good shape.
Yeah.
Granted, he's blatant homosexual, but like obviously his base doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
But he knows inherently. Now his base probably would never admit it, but I think every political person, it makes a lot more sense when you see a younger person that they're in shape, and this will give you a better feeling about them.
Yeah.
At a subconscious level. And I don't know why, especially I know Vance is rolling in dough.
Right, yeah, you'd think it'd be easy.
And he was a Marine, like he should know the importance of PT, but apparently not.
Yeah, no, that is also a unique. I wouldn't even say it's unique to the Marines. That's just like a general like post-military like genus or
physiognomy.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, he was kind of like a chubby guy, even when he was. He's always kind of been on the heavy side.
Yeah, I think.
And he's not even that tall.
Yeah, a lot of people just like ride on like, well, I was in the military. That makes me a tough guy. I check the box to like a minimum degree. So, it is interesting. Like, I think this is where also people on the left are like delusional. Like, Pete Buttigieg could have been like an expert in guerrilla warfare with over 300 confirmed kills. It would not mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't like. His base doesn't think that's cool, and like he would never get any credit on the right for that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we had Cawthorn,
but see, he's like, I'm just talking about
Mike. Wait, no, I'm getting them mixed up.
Yeah.
Cawthorn didn't serve.
Correct. Yeah.
Cawthorn was the wheelchair guy.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who is Solid Snake impersonator? Which one is he?
Crenshaw.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I get my conservative grifter politicians mixed up.
That is true. That is a good counterpoint to the whole thing. He was able to ride the whole Navy SEAL thing for like substantially.
But you gotta love Israel.
Yeah,
I'm a Navy SEAL for Israel.
Yeah,
I wear an eye patch. I'm Solid Snake.
Yeah,
that really resonated with the boomers.
Yeah,
They loved playing the original Solid Snake on the Atari. Oh no, Metal Gear on the Atari.
Yeah,
the original Atari.
Yeah.
No, it was on the NES. I'm so sorry. I know someone is listening to this and is like, wow, Anthony is such a fucking retard.
Yeah,
he just thought that the original Metal Gear was on the Atari 2600 when Nintendo just wasn't even a fucking thing yet. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, I never. I played Metal Gear Solid 5. I think that was like the only one. And the Phantom Pain.
I see.
Interesting.
You were a man of culture and taste.
Yeah. No, those are good. When are they going to make a Splinter Cell? That's the real question.
Oh, yeah, dude. Splinter Cell is pretty slick.
Yeah. But regardless, no, I just, I view that, like, the whole Marine service thing, like, cool, box checked. Like, and I do, not to be like, non-cynical about it, like, I think he's, like, a true believer, irrespective of like religion, like on the politics side a little bit. I'm not a Peter Thiel fan, so his ties to him are a little concerning to me.
Thiel's an interesting character.
Yeah. So that kind of puts me off him a little bit, but in an optimistic view, I see what Trump saw in him. I think it's kind of shoring up what we really haven't seen in like the most recent campaign has been like less of like the populism that was present in like 2016 to my mind. I mean, like, there has been like a heavy immigration focus, which is a component of that. But I feel
that's
like
been the topic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's never gone away.
Yeah. And I think it's like an interesting boon to like that portion of like kind of what really captured people's attention in 2016. So yeah, I think tactically it's a good choice.
Yeah, and I told this to you earlier. I think that Vance is probably the best pick. Doesn't mean I have to like him.
Yeah.
But I know that I am not the average guy that he's trying. They're trying to Pokemon go to the polls out here.
Exactly.
Like it's not me. It's not probably anyone listening either. Although I don't know, man. Last video, the intro, the channel intro I was showing you, it blew up out of nowhere yesterday. And I mean, by blowing up, we're a channel of like 60 subscribers, and it was at like 22 views. And I was a little bummed. I was like, man, I put like way too much effort into this 53-second video. And then Monday happens, and all of a sudden it just doubles.
I saw the numbers, people.
I saw the numbers. They were incredible. It just went sky high. Never seen so much YouTube engagement before.
These numbers, they're saying
there's
too many numbers.
Just went right into the algorithm. Just went right to all the autists out there that would like to listen to a show called TradTards. Wow, found every single one. But yeah, no, so Vance, interesting guy. And I mean, policy-wise, he's kind of a wild card. I will say this: like he has a very maverick Twitter presence, which maybe is why Trump like has a bromance with him.
Yeah,
it's like a man after my own heart. He just tweets from the hip.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, besides his conversion to Catholicism, I can't think of too much. I don't think he attends the Latin Mass. He probably has no clue what the fuck that is.
To find anyone. See, I guarantee you he knows what it is. Like the fact that he like has written in the lamp, like that tells me he.
Well, let me say this: he married an Indian, and I don't mean a feather.
Yeah.
The dot. Yeah. And I don't know. After seeing the recent RNC and of course the entire nomination for the Republican, with all that the entire nomination process this year. We're seeing like India rising, Brigitte rising in the U.S. It's happening.
Yeah.
Vivek, Nimrata. In case you didn't know, that's actually Nikki Haley's real name. And then now Vance, and he's married into that. It's so. I mean, just saying. The more you notice, and the more you get really annoying phone calls on your phone, at horrible times at every hour of the day. Like it really is. I think it is like that's like a big shift we're seeing, and like people just aren't really. We saw at the RNC a big deal more. We had that Sikh woman go up and give like an invocation, and they like they were doing like establishing shots, like B-roll to the crowd, and you could just see the unease on like all of these like very like normal conservatives,
right?
And they're just like, wait a minute, have we been duped? Who signed this off? Like they knew Vivek. They're like Indian. Like, why is there a Sikh? Like Vivek, wasn't he a Sikh? Is that why she's here? Am I supposed to be offended? Can I be offended? Are Republicans in 2024 allowed to be offended? You just saw this whole range of emotions going through their head.
Yeah, I did not see the RNC, but I
saw clips. I didn't. I didn't have time to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I did. Apparently, someone got like shot there
outside.
Yeah,
I think it might have just been like a protester or a drug addict tweaking out.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think that's probably the likely case.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's a tough one.
But I mean, for real though, they're a very quickly rising minority in the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's actually it's maybe is more interesting that they haven't risen to prominence yet already.
Yeah. I think you've seen kind of like similar process in like Canada.
It's like, Canada they're very far along in that process. And especially with just, not just, people from the Indian subcontinent, but just from all of Asia.
Yeah. Yeah. I do, I think the immigration topic, when you get into like, there's like the meat and potatoes stuff that like, gets people's attention. The southern border kind of thing. I think there is an interesting conversation to be had about like, H-1B visa holders and like, when you start introducing more like intellectual competition for jobs that like American people like actually like want. But I'm open to and I'm generally like, I think we need to have restricted and controlled borders. That's important. Like you need to have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that is also like a trend that doesn't get discussed.
Wow, we're talking about so much on the TradTards podcast. But yeah, I mean, I think this is something we're all going to see a lot more of. This shift, and I think 2024 has been a big watershed year.
Yeah,
and it was destined to be, but I think no one could have seen it was going to be as dramatic as this. I mean, hell, going back to the whole Trump thing, like Saturday, like history could have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's like it's hard to know like counterfactually, like, okay, if what would that look like?
Obviously, this would mean more Latin mass restrictions from Pope Francis. Pope Francis would take one look, like he'd be like on the phone, like, "Senor Trump is muerto. Send out the Jesuit divisions. We need to restrict the Latin mass again."
Yeah, probably.
First order of business, now that Trump is gone, the Latin mass we can completely eliminate in los Estados Unidos.
I'm sorry. Pope Francis, I know he listens to this podcast.
Yeah.
He was the first subscriber, actually. He was like, he saw the thumbnail, he saw the profile picture, he's like, oh, it is a channel for me.
He's on the Pope Francis Patreon.
He's at Pontifex, first subscriber. Pope Francis Patreon.
Yeah.
I already donated to when Peter's Pence comes to collect at Mass.
Yeah.
That's me donating to the Pope Francis Patreon.
He pays $50 and gets to ask a question every week of the TradTards podcast.
Because he obviously needs us. Even though he has the whole College of Cardinals and any theologian on speed dial.
Yeah.
He needs TradTards. I need your theological opinion. Well, I think we beat maybe.
Yeah. No, that was good.
Yeah, the horse to death.
Yeah, no, that was good stuff.
And now there's a new impression for me to do.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Trad-tarded Pope Francis. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Besides Benedict, I think most popes have sounded like that. Just a general Italian accent.
Mm-hmm.
But Pope Francis speaks a lot more Spanish because that's his kind of lingua franca.
Yeah.
But he's ethnically Italian. People try to say he's the first Latinx pope. It's actually not true. He just lives in Argentina. Many, many amazing white people in Argentina. They're all European. Like, seriously, they're statistically, demographically, maybe Argentina has beat the U.S. in terms of European ancestry. Are we at that point? Eva Perón, like, did she foresee this happening?
Yeah. It's a
The founding
question for
fathers.
another time.
Yeah, that's another episode. Argentina, Hyperborea in South America. Episode 4, TradTards.
Yeah. No, well, this has been fun.
I thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I think you talk more than me.
Yeah.
Which is always something I try to have with my guests here on the show. And this is a mini-sode, and we're at 38 minutes, so yeah, we'll call it 5:40. So that's pretty good, and I'll have to edit it down a little bit. But CheeseHead is a good friend of mine. We're colleagues through work, and it's been a great time. So best of luck in all your future endeavors. We're definitely gonna hang out again in the future, no matter what. So take a look at the Telegram if you haven't already. As always, I'll probably release this first on the Telegram and then the YouTube friendly. I don't think I'll have to do much editing for this one, but I'll always like to add the graphics and the intro to that as well. So you'll see that on there. Be subscribed to both that and the Telegram, and we'll see you next time on Puffs with Peter, TradTards podcast mini-sode, the politics edition. Hopefully, I don't have to do too many of these. We're not a politics channel. We're retarded trad Catholicism. So, alrighty. Well, thanks again for being on, CheeseHead. Really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's fine.
And as always, thanks for watching.
Yeah.